Let's move to the NFC right here, starting with the number 6 seed. NFC is a little bit tighter, a little bit better competition in the NFC. Bryce, what do you think? 6 seed in the NFC. Who do you got?
NFC is absolutely stacked. So for that reason, I actually have 2 teams above 500 missing, which are going to be the Panthers and the Rams. Rams, I actually think are going to have 10 wins, and they're still going to miss the playoffs, which is unreal.
Yeah.
And that's only because the Minnesota Vikings are also going to finish 10-6, coming at the 6th seed, which is mind-boggling because Dalvin Cook has been an absolute beast. The offense is finally starting to click on all cylinders and fire on all cylinders with Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs showing up. Adam Thielen is hurt, which is going to hurt for a while for them, I think, because they rushed him back from the hamstring. They might let him go a little bit longer. But these Minnesota Vikings, unbelievable team. Danielle Hunter is anchoring that defense. Harrison Smith. They're going to come in at the 6th seed here somehow. But great team.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with Bryce there. I have the Los Angeles Rams, the defending NFC champions, in my 6th spot here. I mean, I just think that it's really hard to go up against both, just the combination of that offense and that defense. The offense is just so dynamic. You have Jared Goff under center, who I think is very underrated. You have Todd Gurley, who, when he plays, is obviously very good. And I think that in the more serious situations, they're going to be sure to prioritize him playing in those spots. And then, obviously, the wide receiver trio of Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, and Cooper Kupp. I mean, there's always passing options for them to look forward to, as opposed to, say, the Minnesota Vikings, who see regularly Stephon Diggs, one of the best athletes in the game, put up about 40 yards and touchdowns.
40 yards, yeah.
Exactly. And Adam Thielen just walking onto the field in the first quarter and then walking right off the hamstring injury, killing fantasy teams everywhere.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's why I see the Rams. And then on defense, you have, just Aaron Donald is just a physical freak.
Oh,
I still love Clay Matthews back from those Packers days. I know he's a little old now, but I love Clay.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Bryce. Have to disagree with you there. Look, you got a lot of
head swivel. The head swivel is
nice.
You got a lot of big names on the Rams. Of course, you mentioned all of them, and they just picked up Jalen Ramsey for those corners. But they got rid of their 2 best corners. They got rid of Marcus Peters. They got rid of Aqib Talib. Both traded out of Los Angeles for the Rams. So we don't really know how this defense is going to be. Could they be explosive with Jalen Ramsey and, of course, Aaron Donald? Yes, and they're coming off their bye. Maybe they fix up those things that they really didn't do well in the first half of the season. But I don't really think I'm going to put my money on the Rams, especially with the injured Todd Gurley. Their running game has been really not as good as they were last year. They were one of the best rushing attacks last year, led by Todd Gurley. This year, they just haven't had it, and that's really impacted their whole offense. They've lost a lot of the sting that they have on the play action, and of course, those wide receivers are really reliant on that play action. And without that this year, it's been tough for them on the offensive side and on the defensive side. So for me, I'm gonna, like I said, agree with Bryce. I'm gonna go with the Vikings. Dalvin Cook has just been a machine this year. If you have him on your fantasy team, you already know. Kirk Cousins, after some early season struggles, has really picked it up these past 4 weeks, and this defense has just been playing really well. They're back to their 2017 form when they went 13-3. So Vikings for me, I think they slide in at the 6th seed.
Yeah, just to mention about the Rams too, just going off of what you were saying, Amer, with Todd Gurley being hurt. Brandon Cooks is about to miss his 2nd week in a row with a concussion. There's no timetable for return, so that 3-headed monster is now just turning into a dynamic duo where Robert Woods has not been so dynamic this year.
Yeah.
Because Cooper Kupp has just been fantastic. I mean, you
Cooper
don't
Kupp
need a
is
second
dynamic enough
option
for
when
both
you
of
have
them.
the number 1 option just basically making up for the 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Just absurd. And they're the 12th ranked defense in terms of
it's good, but still no real deep threat without Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Both Woods and Kupp tend to run more out of the slot or similar route trees.
Here comes Amer's got to take the top off the defense.
Got to take the top off the defense. They don't have anyone that can do that. Stephon Diggs can do that in Minnesota. Wrong with the Vikings.
Has he?
He has.
1 game.
No, he's had several good games, especially with Adam Thielen not there. Check your stats, Mike.
What did he do this week?
This past week was
Doesn't
a bad
matter.
week. They
Adam
still got the
Thielen
win.
wasn't
They still
there!
won. They still won, man. They still won. They got the dub. They still won. Anyway,
They played Patriots football.
moving into the 5th seed in the NFC, number 5. Mike, who do you got?
Yes, for all those people in San Francisco, comment down. I have the 49ers at the 5th seed, but
Hot
that's
takes.
just because there is a team in the division that I feel is better that will be revealed later. Hint, it is not the Arizona Cardinals. But
It's clearly not the Rams either.
Yeah.
everybody's left
Wonder
guessing.
who it is.
Who could it be? Who could it be? Does Mike have a reinvented playoff format going on over here where a division leaders aren't in the top 4 seeds. Ooh, Roger Goodell, little prediction of some Goodell nonsense going on
Something
here.
he would do.
Yeah.
Continue.
But no, I think the 49ers defense is fantastic, but I do think that their offense leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, I have Dante Pettis on my fantasy team.
Why?
Seriously.
I thought that this we could have a dynamic passing game going on here. They don't. And their running backs, I really don't feel are that strong. Jimmy Garoppolo, here it comes. System quarterback. Unlike his mentor Tom Brady, who is good.
System.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I really don't feel that offense is enough to really go past the Seahawks. I do think that the Seahawks are the better team in that division. So that is why I have the Seahawks. But you also have the experience of Russell Wilson in Seattle, and Pete Carroll, of course, as opposed to Kyle Shanahan, a little less experience.
Bryce, put him in his place.
I'm going to put mine here. Seattle's coming in at the 5 seed. I'm finishing at 11-5. This one certainly better than the number 4 seed, which we'll get into. I'm not going to dispute it with you that the Seahawks have a better offense. They absolutely do. But the difference here is going to be the 49ers have a nearly legendary defense. Their pass rush is spectacular, and the Seahawks leave a little bit to be desired, with the exception of Jadeveon Clowney is obviously great, Bobby Wagner's obviously great, but the secondary is not that good. And with Emmanuel Sanders now in San Francisco, that's now a threat for the 49ers when they play Seattle. Still 2 games to go for both of those, one in San Fran and one in Seattle, obviously. But getting to the Seahawks, unbelievable team. Russell Wilson is carrying this squad. He and Tyler Lockett, they just have some kind of connection. I don't even know. Lockett, 18 targets last week, right? Something like that.
A lot.
Unbelievable.
Huge game.
Chris Carson, rock steady. He's like the better version of Carlos Hyde. Mike's offended.
But is he worth a 4th round fantasy pick next year, B?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was B's trade.
Absolutely.
Hey, I agree with that.
Christopher Carson looks very good. Russell Wilson looks like an MVP candidate. Tyler Lockett has a connection with him. This team is going to be good, and they're going to be scary in the playoffs coming from wild card seed.
Yeah. As you can tell from my reaction, I'm going to agree with Bryce here. Seahawks are really good. They just kind of got unlucky that they're in the same division as the 49ers. I really think that they're top 4, maybe top 3 team in the NFC this year. They've been stellar. Russell Wilson's just pushed himself into the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. He's been playing amazing this year. 1 interception so far. And like 23, 22 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. Of course, he gets it done on the ground. He's amazing, and he's really the heart of this team. And not much to say besides that. Russell Wilson, great player, great team. Have them in at the 5 seed in the NFC. So, moving up, 4 seed, Bryce.
So I think we all have the NFC East winner. It really shouldn't surprise anyone that's happening.
Yeah.
But I have a little bit of a hot take here. You might want to slow me down at some point because this is spicy. Philadelphia Eagles. I know the Dallas Cowboys have looked better. They're not a good football team. This team lost to the New York Jets. I can't put that team in the playoffs. Both of these teams have to go through the Patriots still, but I just don't think the Cowboys have what it takes. Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz coming off his bye is going to be a little bit rejuvenated. He'll look better, I hope. I really just hope the Eagles can figure out the secondary issue. They look awful. Ronald Darby's terrible. Avonte Maddox is hurt. If they get him back, it'll be big. But I do think the Eagles managed to get past the Cowboys. Not to mention, I have the Cowboys finishing 7-9.
Brutal. Mike.
How's that possible?
Their schedule's tough. Their schedule's very, very tough down the stretch.
Go for it, Mike.
Yeah, I have the Cowboys. I just disagree with B's logic. I don't think that the Eagles are going to be able to put together whatever they're trying to put together in that secondary. It's just been really bad, and the offense isn't as dynamic as it's been in recent years, which is very, very upsetting. But I do think this Cowboy team, this defense is fantastic. You have Sean Lee and who's the
Leighton
Leighton
Vander Esch.
Leighton Vander Esch.
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith. It's just
Linebacking core is amazing.
Unreal.
it's just a phenomenal defensive team. And then on the offensive side, you have an offensive line that has been weaker than it's been in recent years, but you still have Zeke really fueling the offense, feed the Zeke. And Dak Prescott, who is still trying to prove himself in this contract year, which is a big deal going on here. And I think that in trying to prove himself, he's going to be extra focused. And then Amari Cooper, obviously,
of course.
good first option wide receiver there. Not necessarily the same receiving core caliber as the Rams, but I do think that they have some sort of dimensionality there.
What kind of Giants fan are you? What Giants fan does the Zeke?
Oh man, especially after last week.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna agree with Mike. Just get ready for the barrage of Cowboys fans, worst fan base in the NFL. We them boys, and how about them Cowboys? You're gonna hear a lot of that because they're gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna run in the 4th seed. They're gonna win this division. I guess I would rather have Philly win, but even then, the Philly fans are almost just as bad. They're out here eating horse poop, both literally and metaphorically. But yeah, Cowboys for me. They showed this past week against the Giants, who are not a good team, but they showed that they can win ugly and they can win pretty. This offense is good enough with Amari Cooper, top 10 wide receiver, and Zeke, top 3 running back in the NFL. Their offense is high-powered, with Jason Witten pulling a Brett Favre coming back out of retirement out of that ESPN announcing booth. And this defense is legit. DeMarcus Lawrence, they just picked up Michael Bennett in trade with the Patriots, both great options off the edge for them, and as Mike said, this linebacking core is unreal. So defense, offense, they got them both. I think the Cowboys are winning this division and slotting in at the 4th seed in the NFC. So,
and that's for my liking of Zeke. I'm a charitable guy. I found that when he went into the Salvation Army basket and did a little peek up, that really made me a Zeke fan.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's a bit early, but yeah. And up to our almost consensus top 3. Mike's breaking that consensus. But who do you have at the 3 seed, Mike?
The Seattle Seahawks. I think we discussed the Seahawks really more than enough already. I just think that Russell Wilson is the more experienced quarterback, more experienced than Jimmy Garoppolo out there in the NFC West. Therefore, I have them catapulting into the division winning. And I also have 3 teams from the NFC West making the playoffs as well.
Bryce?
You're wrong. I'm sorry. There's no way the Seahawks won this division. That being said, this is the Packers. They've looked great. The defense, especially, that's been a welcome surprise. The Smith brothers, not related, Preston and Zadarius, both as outside linebackers, edge rushers. They've allowed Rashawn Gary to grow in this defense. Jair Alexander is a premier cornerback in this league. I really love the Packers. Never, ever, ever count on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to roll with the Packers as well. Not only do they have a top 3 MVP candidate in Aaron Rodgers, especially after the past 3-4 weeks, they also have a great defense. Matt LaFleur seems to be doing an excellent job with this team, with this Packers team. Defense, offense, their run game's great. That 200 monster of Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones really pushing them forward. So they got both phases of offense, pass and run. And just getting Devontae Adams back is going to be huge for this offense. So for me, Packers sliding it at number 3. Watch them in the playoffs as well. Aaron Rodgers can just pull off some magic when he needs to. All right. With that, we're moving up to the 2 seed. First round bye territory. Mike, who do you got?
Let's go up to Wisconsin with our favorite cheeseheads. I have the Packers here. I just think that Aaron Rodgers is just such a dynamic option. I actually realized their defense, I had the feeling, just gut feeling, that they're pretty good. 26th in yards per game, which is not very good. Not very good for a defense. But, I mean, they have looked relatively good, and very worst, you basically have the Kansas City effect up there in Green Bay, where they'll basically just blow you right out of the water. It's a Midwest thing that we do around here, except for the Bears. Opposite philosophy.
Yeah.
They have offensive issues. But, yeah, I mean, you have a guy who threw 5 touchdowns in a game, and is just absolutely just phenomenal behind center. As Amer mentioned, they have 2 running backs, and they can do it with anybody at wide receiver with Aaron Rodgers behind center. So while the defensive struggles are there, I just think it's the Aaron Rodgers show up there.
Yeah.
So I have the New Orleans Saints slotting in here at the 2. This, to me, is actually similar to what I did in the AFC. I think the Saints are the best team in the NFC. I think they're better than the 49ers. The 49ers have just had a stellar defense and a great start, and the Saints did have to deal with Drew Brees being hurt. I think that's honestly what cost them the Rams game, and that's the difference between here, the Saints, and what I have as the 49ers. Obviously, is going to be the 1 seed because I have them 14-2 and 13-3 respectively. Saints, I think, are the better team. They're going to be fantastic. Drew Brees is just an animal. He will never, ever slow down. And again, another really, really solid defense. Marshawn Lattimore, I keep talking about shutdown corners. He's up there too.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go with the 49ers. Mike talked about them a little bit earlier, but best defense in the NFL. Not what you can do about that. For someone
Coming from a guy in that jersey.
For someone that values defense, I'm surprised they're not higher for you, Mike. This team, this front four, front seven is just insane. And I know Mike was talking about some of their offensive struggles, but they have the best run game in the NFL. They have like 4 running backs that could start. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert. Who are those guys? If you play fantasy, you'll know. But Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida are all solid running backs. They can all pound the rock. They're averaging, I think, just insane running back numbers, insane rushing numbers. This offensive scheme by Kyle Shanahan has just been great so far this season. And they actually proved against Arizona that if the run is a little bit lacking, if the run gets shut down, Jimmy Garoppolo is more than capable of picking up the slack in the passing game. And he threw 4 touchdowns. He can do something like that. He's a solid quarterback. So just all around, I think the 49ers, number 2 seed for me. We'll see. They're a young team. So maybe they'll have some struggles in the postseason and late in the season, but I think they're going to be just fine. Still, obviously, the last undefeated team, Niners at number 2 in the NFC. And rounding out the number 1 seed in the NFC, take it away, Mike.
Folks, get out your gumbo because we're going down to Louisiana, where I have the New Orleans Saints being the number 1 team in the NFC this year. What a year to be a Saints fan. I mean, my God. It's just so fantastic. You have an offense led by Drew Brees. Drew Brees gets hurt. Oh no, season's over. Lose that game, yes, but still win every other game with Mr. Teddy Bridgewater. Fantastic play. You have Alvin Kamara, one of the most dynamic players on offense. You have Michael Thomas, who catches every ball thrown within a 10-foot vicinity. And obviously, one of the top-tier defenses in the NFL on the other side of the ball. It's fantastic. Fifth in the league in yards per game from that defense. Just absolutely fantastic on both sides of the ball. Sean Payton, obviously a coach who's done it before. Plus, it's very, very hard for them to lose a game at home playing in that dome.
Superdome.
I mean, the fans are loud. They are really rooting for their team. The sound really affects the opposing team on offense. I think you have to go with the Saints here. Just a fantastic team. What a year to be a Saints fan. Reminiscent of their Super Bowl winning year.
Go ahead.
Niner Nation, baby. Niner Nation.
Out west.
Started 8-0. Obviously, there's not much left to be said that hasn't been said already. With the exception of Nick Bosa, something else.
Of course.
He is.
Of course.
His career is half a season old, and he's already, I think, a top 5 pass rusher in this league. He's spectacular. Fred Warner gets no love. He is the best cover linebacker in the league. This team is spectacular on the defensive side of the ball. Garoppolo has enough to get it done, especially with Emmanuel Sanders. They look pretty good together. But Niner Nation, they're going to use that to start propel them to go 14-2 the rest of the way.
Yeah, number 1 for me, agreeing with Mike, Who Dat Nation, down to Louisiana, down to the Bayou, going with the Saints. They proved that this season their team is not just Drew Brees. In the past, they haven't had a defense, they haven't had many weapons alongside Drew Brees, and it was just the Drew Brees show. He was carrying the team. But obviously, he was out for a majority of the season so far. They went undefeated without him. Now that you put him back, one of the top 10, maybe top 7 quarterbacks of all time, adding him back into this team, these Saints are going to be legit. They're really good. Defense, offense, running backs, wide receivers, corners, defensive ends, everything. They got everything in Louisiana. It took 2 miracle finishes to beat them in the playoffs these past 2 years. We'll see if that'll happen again, but I think the Saints are the best team in the NFC. I don't really think it's very close. I think the Saints are going to run away with this number 1 seed in the NFC.
For all of our church fans out there, better watch out for those knives in New Orleans because they're coming for you, man.
And so now that you have our top 6 and our playoff picture in both seeds, we're going to go and give you our Super Bowl matchup prediction along with our prediction of who will win the Super Bowl, who will win Super Bowl 54. We're going to kick it off with Bryce, who's representing AFC, NFC, and the league.
Coming out of the AFC is going to be not one of the top 2 seeds, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm there, going to be spectacular. They almost did it last year. Patrick Mahomes is otherworldly. They're going to have even more motivation to get there this year. They come out of the AFC, but they lose in the Super Bowl to the 2 seed in the NFC, or my 2 seed anyway in the NFC, New Orleans Saints. Again, fantastic team. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl to watch, too. Drew Brees, the elder statesman, future Hall of Famer against maybe the best, most talented quarterback I've ever watched, 100%. Patrick Mahomes, just in terms of arm talent and skill. It's going to be a good Super Bowl, but Saints will top the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Mike?
So for me, the NFC is easy here. But let's contemplate the AFC just briefly. You have the Patriots, who are a different team this year. They're not led by their offense. They're led by their defense. And Tom Brady does look like more of a system quarterback, but that's just because he's 42. 42?
42.
42 years old. To be expected. But yet their offense it still looks good. I mean, Julian Edelman is still getting his catches. Oh my God. Sonny Michel isn't too bad this year. He's getting a solid carries on the rushing downs. On the rushing downs. And then you have the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, we've had Patrick Mahomes miss time. I'm going to agree with Bryce, though. I agree the Chiefs are going to be going to the Super Bowl just because I think the Patriots defense, I think still the AFC Championship game is going to be Pats Chiefs. The Patriots defense, while it's very good, nobody can really stop the Chiefs. So I think the Chiefs will outscore the Patriots in that game, which is all that you need to win. And then in the NFC, I mean, if you buy the fact that the Saints can get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, I think they basically have a free pass to the Super Bowl just because playing in that Superdome, I mean, it's so hard to beat them there, plus the fact that they're just an incredible team, period. And then it's tough. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, man.
Wow.
The Kansas City Chiefs, you have no home field advantage for the Saints in that Super Bowl game. I think that the Chiefs, just as they dice up the Patriots defense, will be able to dice up the Saints defense and cruise to a Super Bowl victory.
All right, so you two are agreeing on the matchup, and in the AFC, I got to roll with my Patriots. I got to roll full homer. We sit atop the AFC right now, and all three of us are projecting them to win the AFC, be that first seed. And if there's one guy you don't bet against, it's Tom Brady in January, in the cold, at Gillette Stadium. Can't bet against him. He's got Bill Belichick behind him. They're going to figure it out. Look, they had a tough game against the Ravens, of course. But last year they lost 5 games. They lost to the Jags last year. They lost to the Lions last year. They picked it up, defense, run game, and Tom Brady coming up clutch when he needs to. And I think they're going to do that again this year. They're making it to the Super Bowl from the AFC. In the NFC, look, I think the Saints might be cursed. Past 2 years, just brutal. Missed the most blatant PI call in NFL history, and the year before, the Minneapolis Miracle from Stephon Diggs. And so...
Please don't say the Niners.
No, I'm not going to say the Niners. I'm really tempted to pick the Packers just because Aaron Rodgers is on another level, but I will roll with the Saints as well. I'm going to agree with these guys. Saints, as I said, best team in the NFC.
Well, that curse nonsense, and you still got...
Yeah, hey, curses are meant to be broken. So Saints are breaking it this year. They're going to make it to the Super Bowl.
He's a Red Sox fan, too. So.
Yeah, of course, 86 years. Bambino. Anyway.
Theo Epstein is not leading the Saints, though.
Saints. Saints are going to top the NFC. So Patriots, Saints, Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. The last ride for these two legendary quarterbacks. And, of course, I got to roll with the Patriots. It's the Super Bowl. I don't think that they have a better team than the Saints top to bottom, but I think Tom Brady is the most clutch player in the history of the NFL. Bill Belichick is one of the best coaches in the history of the NFL. You saw what he did to the Rams last year, who came in with an unstoppable offense. I think a lot of the same things can be said about the Saints. So I'm rolling full homer, all in. Patriots are going to go for 2 in a row, 3 out of 4. They're taking Super Bowl 54.
In case you missed that, by the way, Drew Brees and Tom Brady watching at home, he just wrote you off. He said, "This is your final. That's it for you guys. This is it."
Yeah, one of their last chances. Both elder statesmen, as Mike said.
That's rough. That's rough.
All right, and with that, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Between the 20s. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter. Drop a like, drop a comment. Tell us what you think. Agree, disagree. Start a discussion down there, and drop a sub. Be really appreciated. As always, Mike, Bryce, thank you guys for being here. Check us out on the next episode. Peace.